Okay, so good evening, students. Welcome to another free APSC class for for the upcoming examinations. And today we will look into certain questions. We will talk about certain questions which have been asked by UPSC in the past years and which are related to medieval India. Okay. In my last classes, we had dealt with questions which were related to ancient India. Today we will talk about certain questions, certain important questions which have been asked by UPSC in the past years and which are related to medieval India. So we all have an idea, okay? We all have an idea about what medieval India means, exactly what all do we need to study when it comes to medieval India. Nevertheless, I'll try to take you guys through some of the most important points of medieval India. For example, uh, the background is the background is, let's talk about the first important dynasty of medieval India, the dynasty which goes on to establish the Delhi Sultanate, and that dynasty is known as the slave dynasty, or we also call it Mamluk dynasty. Okay, so see, let's go through some of the important points of the Mamluk dynasty. The period from 1000 to 1200 saw rapid changes both in West and Central Asia and in North India. These developments led to the incursion of the Turks into northern India towards the end of the period. Okay, now all this was happening and Mamluk dynasty. So in due course of time, the Turks had entered. The Turks had entered the Samanid Empire. Okay, Samanid Empire or Samanid Kingdom was a kingdom of Persia or modern day Iran. And in due course of time, the Turks, okay, they belong to a different place. They started getting employed in the Samanid Empire, mostly in the form of doorkeepers, or they used to, mostly in the form of doorkeepers, or you can say mercenaries. Okay, mercenaries. I mean, the Samanid Empire used to hire them on contract. So they got employed in the form of mercenaries and doorkeepers. But since they were natural horsemen and due to their superior military skills, they quickly end up taking, the Turks, which were getting employed due to their superior military skills and excellent horseman skill. Because they were excellent horsemen, they were natural horsemen. So due to their military skills and cavalry skills, they were soon, or you can say they soon ended up taking some of the most important positions in the Samanid kingdom. Okay, they soon ended up taking some of the most important positions. Like for example, they became governors, they became heads of the provinces. So to cut a long story short, due to their superior military and cavalry skills, they soon rose up. Okay, they soon rose up the ladder and they became influential people. Okay, and they became influential and powerful people within the Samanid kingdom. And when Samanid kingdom, like it happens with all other empires, finding the right opportunity, one such governor, okay, one such Turk governor declared himself independent and started his own dynasty, which came to be known in history as the Ghaznavid dynasty. Okay, which in history is known as Ghaznavid dynasty. I mean, as you can see, among the Samanid governors was a Turkish slave Alaptagin, who established an independent kingdom with its capital at Ghazni. Okay, and one of the rulers of this Ghaznavid dynasty was Mahmud of Ghazni. So Mahmud of Ghazni ascended the throne in about 998 AD at Ghazni. Why is Mahmud of Ghazni famous? Mahmud of Ghazni is famous because he invaded India several times. He invaded India 17 times to be precise, and it was on the 17th invasion. It was during his 17th and last invasion that he ransacked the famous Somnath temple located in Gujarat, which is also known as the Eternal Shrine. Okay, I mean, as you can see, his most daring raids were against Kanauj in 1018 and against Somnath in Gujarat in 1025, which was also his last raid. Following the death of Mahmud, a powerful empire, the Seljuk Empire came into being. Okay, and Seljuk, we don't have to know much about Seljuk because that's not a part of the syllabus. But Seljuk Empire, so he stopped invading India after, he stopped invading India after 1025, mainly because he got busy. He got busy because there was a threat to his own kingdom from the Seljuk Empire. So he got busy in handling the growing power of the Seljuk Empire, which kept him away from India. So after 1025, he could not invade India anymore. So his raids, all the raids that he was making into India, all his incursions, they came to a halt. They came to a permanent halt in 1025 because he got busy with handling the Seljuk Empire. Towards the middle of the 12th century, two new powers rose to prominence: the Khwarezmi Empire, based on Iran, and the Ghurid Empire, based on Gur in northwestern Afghanistan. These are also not very important from the examination point of view. Now, in 1173, okay, in 1173, Shahabuddin Muhammad, also known as Muizuddin Muhammad bin Sam or Muhammad Ghori, ascended the throne at Ghazni. Okay, now the ruler of Ghazni in about 1173, the ruler of Ghazni in about 1173 was Shahabuddin Muhammad, also known as Muizuddin Muhammad bin Sam, or his more popular as Muhammad Ghori. Now, as far as Muhammad Ghori is concerned, Muhammad Ghori is most famous for two battles, which are known as the two battles of Tarain, which he had fought against the, the ruler of Ajmer. The ruler of Ajmer, he was a Chauhan ruler, one of the most important rulers of the Chauhan. And what was Chauhan? Chauhan was a Rajput clan, and the name of this ruler was Prithviraj Chauhan. And against Prithviraj Chauhan, Muhammad Ghori had fought two battles in 1191 and in 1192. And second battle of Tarain, which was fought in the year 1192, it is considered as one of the turning points in history because it led to the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate in 1206. Because in the second battle of Tarain, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated by Muhammad Ghori, and then Muhammad Ghori went on to establish the Delhi Sultanate in 1206. I mean, he went to establish and he appointed one of his slaves. He appointed one of his slaves to look after the affairs, and that particular slave in Indian history is known as what? He is known as Qutbuddin Aibak. He was one of the slaves of Muhammad Ghori. Okay, as you can see here, after the Battle of Tarim, Muizuddin or Muhammad Ghori, he returned to Ghazni, leaving the affairs in India in the hands of his trusted slave Qutbuddin Aibak. Okay, now let's look at some of the questions now. Now, Now this, this Delhi Sultanate, or you can say as far as the Mamluk dynasty or the slave dynasty is concerned, slave dynasty had produced some of the, it had produced some very capable rulers, it had produced some very important rulers. But the most important rulers which were produced, which we have to know the names of, and which have many achievements, which have many feats to their credit, are number one, we have to know because he was the one who was the first ruler of the slave dynasty in India. None other than he was none other than Qutbuddin Aibak. Although he could not rule for a long time, his rule was only for 4 years. It was his rule was being cut short by his accidental death. Okay, his rule was being cut short by his accidental death, due to which he could not rule for a long time, and he was succeeded by his slave. Okay, he was succeeded by his slave. He was succeeded by his slave, who was also his son-in-law. He was Iltutmish. So the most important rulers of the slave dynasty were number one, Qutbuddin Aibak, then Iltutmish. Then Iltutmish had a son, but unfortunately he was also killed. Okay, Iltutmish's son was also killed, and the name of his son was Nasiruddin Mahmud. So he also could not become the king. So he is not that important for us, except for the fact that he was killed, and in his memory, Iltutmish built a tomb. Iltutmish built a tomb, and it was the first example of a tomb in India. It was the first example of a tomb in India. So, because of this, and that tomb is today located at Sultan Garhi in Delhi, and because of this development, Iltutmish is also known as the father of tomb architecture. And later on, tomb architecture picked up in India. As you know, out of all the Mughal monuments, the topmost Mughal monument in terms of beauty and aesthetic is Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal itself is a tomb, but the tomb architecture started under the rule of Iltutmish. And whom did he make the first tomb in memory of? He made the first tomb in memory of his son, named Nasiruddin Mahmud, okay, who got killed in a battle. Now let's have a look at some of the questions. And And after Iltutmish, as his son could not become the ruler, the next important ruler for us is Razia Sultan. Okay, Razia Sultan, the uniqueness about Razia Sultan was that she was a woman ruler. So, as far as appointing Razia Sultan as the ruler was concerned, Iltutmish showed great belief, and he also comes across as a person who was not gender biased. Who was not gender biased. So, that's a very important lesson we need to learn from him. He was not gender biased. He showed immense belief in the capabilities of his daughter Razia Sultan. But unfortunately, Razia Sultan became a victim of the court intrigues. She could not, she could not remain the ruler for a long time. When she was succeeded, she was not immediately succeeded, but the next important ruler of the slave dynasty was Balban. Okay, Balban, he became the de facto ruler, and Balban was a gray figure. Okay, he was a gray character because there was a positive side to him as well as a negative side to him. Okay, so let's now look at some of the questions which were being asked from this particular phase of Indian history. So, question number one, it was asked in the year 1998. At first, the Turkish administration in India was essentially military. At first, the Turkish administration in India was essentially military. I mean, it's an assertion. Assertion is like a statement, and the reason being given here is the country was parceled out as iktas among leading military leaders. See, as far as R is concerned, okay, as far as the reason is concerned, we don't have any issue with this particular statement because this is right. The country was parceled out as iktas among leading military leaders, and who started this system of this system of dividing the conquered territories, the system of dividing the newly conquered territories in the form of iktas for better administrative purpose was started by Iltutmish. So the correct answer in this case would be option number D. Option number D. A is false. When option number D is what? Option number D is A is false, but R is true. Okay, A is false, but R is true. So in this case, at first the Turkish administration in India was essentially military. This is the assertion. So we need to relook at the question, and the right answer in this case would be option number A. That is, like I said, R was also correct. The country was parceled out as iktas among leading military leaders, which is very much correct. And A is also correct. Initially, the administration was essentially military. It had the military tone to it. So the correct option in this case would be A, that is both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Okay? So the right answer in this case would be option number A. That is, both the statements are correct. And R is also the correct explanation of A. Okay? Now, let's have a look at question number two. How did Sultan Qutbuddin Aibak die? Like I was saying, Qutbuddin Aibak, he had an accidental death. He met with an accidental death, and he could rule only for 4 years. Now, options are he was treacherously stabbed to death by one of his ambitious nobles. He was killed in a battle with Tajuddin Yildiz, the ruler of Ghazni, who entered into a contest with him over the capture of Punjab. He sustained injuries while besieging the fortress of Kalinjar in Bundelkhand and succumbed to them later. He died after a fall from his horse while playing Chaugan. And the correct answer is option D. That is, he died after a fall from his horse while playing Chaugan. And Chaugan, if you guys are wondering what Chaugan is a game. It is. You can say it is the how to put it. It is uh, polo. You guys must have heard of polo. So polo is the advanced form of Chogan. Okay, polo is the advanced form of Chogan. And polo is said to have been invented in India. Okay, polo. The game of polo is said to have been invented in India. Okay, it is the it is the or you can say Chogan is the it was the beginning of polo. Now it has become quite professional. Okay, it has gotten a professional touch. It has acquired a professional touch, but it was earlier known as Chogan. So while playing Chogan, he died after a fall from his horse while playing Chogan. Okay, so Qutbuddin Aibak died in this manner. Now, after consolidating his power, like I was saying, Balban is also one of the most important rulers of the, you know, of the Delhi Sultanate. He was also one of the most important rulers of the Delhi Sultanate, and he belongs to which dynasty? He belongs to the slave dynasty. Now, after consolidating his power, Balban assumed the grand title of A. Tutiye Hind, Kesare Hind, Zille Ilahi, and Dine Ilahi. Okay, see, Tutiye Hind. All the options are very important. Okay, this was asked by UPSC in 1997. Tutiye Hind is a title. Tutiye Hind, the English translation of Tutiye Hind will be Parrot of India. Okay, the English translation of Tutiye Hind will be Parrot of India, and this title has been given to one of the greatest poets. Okay, one of the greatest poets of medieval India. He was none other than Amir Khusrau. Amir Khusrau was one of the most important literary persons of medieval India. In fact, Qawwali has been credited to him. A lot of things have been credited to him. Amir Khusro. Okay, Amir Khusro. A lot of things, a lot of songs have been credited to him. Qawwali, Qawwali has been credited to him. Okay, so Amir Khusro is a legendary person in the realm of art and culture, Amir Khusro. And we call, Amir Khusro is also said to be, he's also said to be the founder. He's also said to be the founder of Hindavi. Hindavi, in a way, it can be called the mother of Hindi. So Amir Khusro is also said to be the founder of the Hindavi language. Is also known as the father of the Hindavi language. And Hindavi language, as we all know, is said to be the origin of the Hindi language. Okay, so and Tutiye Hind is a title which has been given to Amir Khusro. Now, Kesare Hind. Now, Kesare Hind, it means Alexander of India. Kesare Hind means Alexander of India. Kesar means Caesar. Okay, not Alexander, but Julius Caesar. Kesar. Okay, Kesare Hind means Caesar of India. Okay, Caesar of India. Now, this is also not the right option. Now, and Zille Ilahi, see, we'll talk about Zille Ilahi. Let's first talk about Deen Ilahi. Deen Ilahi, as we all know, was something which was started by Akbar. Okay, it was not essentially a religion. Deen Ilahi was not essentially a religion, but it was more like Ashoka's Dhamma. Like Ashoka's Dhamma had nothing to do with religion. It was more of a what? It was more of a social code of conduct. So Deen Ilahi was also more, it was more on those lines. And Akbar picked up all the good things from all the major religions of the world and he combined them into something known as Deen Ilahi. So Deen Ilahi is also not the right answer in this case. So we are left with only Zille Ilahi. So Zille Ilahi was a title which was adopted or which was assumed by Balban after he consolidated his power. And the meaning of Zille Ilahi was shadow of God on earth. Okay, Zille Ilahi means God's shadow on earth. The meaning of Zille Ilahi is God's shadow on earth because Balban, one of the most important characteristics of Balban was that he was a firm believer in the divine kingship theory. Now, what is the meaning of divine kingship theory? He believed that God has appointed him. The theory which says that, or the theory which supports the view that it is the God who appoints the kings. It is the God who appoints the kings. It is the God who appoints certain kings to rule different parts of the earth on his behalf. So, divine kingship theory is the theory which supports the view that God Himself selects a few people to rule the world on behalf of Him. So, because God has selected those few people, so you cannot challenge those few people because if you challenge those people, it's like challenging the God. So, it was a very safe side, which was, it was a very safe thing to do. It was a very safe thing to do for rulers. And I'm not saying that Balban was the first one to do this. You know, almost, if not all the rulers, but most of the major rulers, okay, most of the major rulers have used this. Okay, most of the major rulers throughout the annals of history have used this to, you know, have used this to legitimize their rule. Okay, for example, we get to see a reflection of this. We get to see a reflection of this even in Ashok, because Ashok is said to have used the titles of Devanampiya. And the meaning of Devanampiya is, okay, for example, he also used the title of Piyadasi. And the meaning of Piyadasi is, and the meaning of Piyadasi and the meaning of Piyadasi and Devanampiya is what? Beloved of gods or dear to gods. Okay, beloved of God or dear to gods. So as you can see, even Ashoka is trying to form a relationship. Even Ashoka is trying to connect himself with God as if he is somehow related to God and God himself has chosen him. Or he shares a good rapport with God. Okay, so that's the point I'm trying to say. That's the point I'm trying to make. Most of the important rulers throughout the annals of history have used the divine kingship theory in order to legitimize, in order to validate their rule, in order to justify why they are ruling. Okay, that's very, very important. Now, let's take a look at some of the other questions. The Mongols under Genghis Khan invaded India. The Mongols under Genghis Khan invaded India during the reign of Balban, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Iltutmish, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. See, Balban is not the answer. Okay, Balban is not the answer. Firoz Shah Tughlaq cannot be the answer. Okay, Firoz Shah Tughlaq cannot be the answer because as far as the problem of Mongols was concerned, okay, as far as the problem of Mongols was concerned, it was dealt with. It was dealt with successfully, although Genghis Khan had not been there. Okay, Genghis Khan was not there at the time, but this problem was dealt with successfully by none other than Alauddin Khilji. Because Alauddin Khilji had defeated the Mongols several times, not once, but more than once. ठीक है sir? And Firoz Shah Tughlaq was someone. The Tughlaq dynasty came to power. The Tughlaq dynasty came to power after the Khilji dynasty. Alauddin Khilji belonged to the Khilji dynasty. All these were a part of the Delhi Sultanate. Okay, so Delhi Sultanate is something which talks about different dynasties. Okay, different dynasties go on to form the Delhi Sultanate at different points in time. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq cannot be the answer. Okay, Muhammad bin Tughlaq also cannot be the answer because Muhammad bin Tughlaq also belongs to Tughlaq dynasty. And the problem of Mongols, the issue of Mongols, it was not very relevant. It was not at all. You can say it was not very relevant when the Tughlaqs came to power, but it was a very burning issue. It was a very burning issue. It was a very relevant issue till the time of Alauddin Khilji, and Alauddin Khilji dealt with this issue. Alauddin Khilji dealt with this issue in a very successful manner. Okay, so the correct answer in this case would be Iltutmish. Okay, the correct answer in this case would be Iltutmish. Now, let's look into some questions which were asked from the Khilji dynasty. Now, see, in 1995, they gave you a map. They gave you a map. They gave a map and they asked the route indicated in the map was followed during the course of his military expedition by. Okay, the route indicated in the map was followed during the course of his military expedition by. See, now this is the route which has been given in the map. I mean, as you can see, you have to make out that the route, this particular route, it starts from North India. It comes all the way till deep south. It comes all the way till deep south. So see, it cannot be Chandragupta the second or Chandragupta Vikramaditya the second because we know for a fact that Chandragupta Vikramaditya did not come all the way. They did not come all the way till deep south. Okay, they did not come all the way. He did not come all the way till deep south, although he was a very important ruler. In fact, he is considered to be the most important ruler of the Gupta dynasty, but he did not come all the way till deep south. At best, Chandragupta second or Chandragupta Vikramaditya the second, he could come till Maharashtra because we know that he, a part of Maharashtra, that part of Maharashtra which was under the control of the Vakatakas had also come under his control. And with the help of that, after that development, he was also successful in defeating the Shakas for good, the Shakas of Saurashtra. So he had come till this point in time, but he could not proceed any further. So he cannot be the right option. Harshavardhana. Harshavardhana did not come to southern India because although he wanted to come to South India, okay, Harshavardhana, he wanted to come to South India, but his southwardly his southwardly march his southwardly march or his intentions of moving towards the south or Deccan were checked. His intentions were checked by a very powerful ruler of the Chalukyan dynasty. He was none other than Pulakashin II. So although Harshavardhana wanted to move towards the southern direction, although he wanted to move, okay, he although he wanted to extend his influence, although he wanted to extend his influence in Deccan and maybe ahead of Deccan, he was not successful in his attempt because he was stopped, because he was defeated. In fact, he was defeated by, you know, he was defeated on the banks of Narmada. He was defeated on the banks of Narmada by none other than Pulakeshin II. And see, it cannot be Rajendra Chola because Rajendra Chola, he was a very powerful ruler, but he was a South Indian ruler. In fact, he was a Rajendra Chola belonged to the Chola dynasty, and as we all know, Chola dynasty was a very powerful dynasty which ruled from Tamil Nadu, which ruled from modern day state of Tamil Nadu, and modern day state of Tamil Nadu, and the capital was Thanjavur or Tanjore. So here, the line which has been shown here, it starts from North India. So Rajendra Chola also cannot be the right answer. And the right answer in this case would be Malik Kafur. Now, who was Malik Kafur? Malik Kafur was the army general of Alauddin Khilji. Okay. In fact, Malik Kafur initially was a slave. Malik Kafur initially was a slave that Alauddin Khilji bought from Gujarat. He is also known as Hazar Dinari because Malik Kafur, I mean, Alauddin Khilji had bought, okay, Alauddin Khilji had bought Malik Kafur, okay, because Malik Kafur he was worth Hazar dinars. So Alauddin Khilji had bought Malik Kafur by paying Hazar dinars. So Malik Kafur is also known as Hazar Dinari. So, but again, he was a very talented slave, and as we all know, because see, this is very important thing, because although he was a slave, now see, this notion of being a slave, or this concept of slavery, okay, this concept of slavery, which was very much a part of the Delhi Sultanate, was not the Western concept of slavery. Okay, it was not, it cannot be compared with the Western concept of slavery, because the slaves which you get to see or which you get to hear of in the Delhi Sultanate, the slaves often become rulers. If not rulers, they go on to take up the most important positions. They go on to take up some of the most important positions in the kingdom. So we cannot simply compare this concept of slavery, which was present and which was very much a part of the Delhi Sultanate, with the Western concept of slavery. Okay, that's for sure. So, and Malik Kafur, so although he was initially a slave, but he was later made what? He was later made the military commander. So he was later made the military commander of Alauddin Khilji, and it was under his supervision. Okay, it was under his supervision that Alauddin Khilji was able to reach. He was able to conquer even places like Madurai. Okay, they also reached Cape Comorin. Okay, Cape Comorin is considered to be the southernmost point. Okay, Cape Comorin is considered to be southernmost point, or you can say Cape Comorin is a place which is very close to Rameshwaram. And as we all know, Rameshwaram is 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 one of the southernmost points of India. So it was under the, it was because of this. See, because of this, Alauddin Khilji's empire, or Alauddin Khilji's kingdom, was one of the largest kingdoms. Okay, it was one of the largest kingdoms. Alauddin Khilji's kingdom was one of the largest kingdoms of all the kingdoms Indian rulers ever had. I'm not saying it was the largest, but I'm saying it was one of the largest kingdoms of all the kingdoms Indian rulers ever had. Because from North India, he was able to, although see, I mean, even after conquering these areas, he did not try to establish direct rule over these areas. That's the difference between Alauddin Khilji and, Aurangzeb, who tried to establish direct control over certain areas, or, he tried to establish direct control over Deccan. But Alauddin Khilji, even if he conquers, I mean, even after his army, even after his army reaches, okay, even after his army under the commandership of his army general Malik Kafur reaches as far as Madurai, he doesn't try to he doesn't try to extend his sway over these areas, because he knew very well, sitting in Delhi, he could not control those areas. He believed in decentralization. Okay, I mean, a lot of areas came under his control, be it Warangal, be it Warangal, then be it, there was another area, there was another very important area which came under his control. I mean, the Hoysalas were also dominated by Alauddin Khilji, and they reached all the way till Madurai. I mean, in fact, after they reached Cape Comorin, after reaching Cape Comorin, Malik Kafur also erected a tower of victory, or victory tower. Okay, so the route which has been indicated in this map, It is the route which was taken by Malik Kafur. Okay, now let's take a look at the next question. Now, see, this question also is in the form of assertion and reason. Muhammad bin Tughlaq left Delhi. Muhammad bin Tughlaq left Delhi and for 2 years lived in a camp called Swargadwari. Okay, and the reason is at the time Delhi was ravaged. At the time, Delhi was ravaged by a form of plague and many people died. Okay, so the correct answer to this question would be both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Because Muhammad bin Tughlaq, we know from history that he had to leave Delhi, and after living Delhi for 2 years, he was living in a camp called Swargadwari, because at that time Delhi was ravaged by a form of plague and many people died. Okay, so he had to live outside of Delhi for 2 years. And we also know that Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he had once shifted his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad. Okay, and again back to Delhi. The historian Barani refused to consider the state in India under Delhi Sultans as truly Islamic. Okay, Barani is a very famous historian. Barani, okay, Barani, then Isami. These are historians who help us. Okay, these are historians who help us reconstruct the medieval India phase, or not exactly. I mean, which part of medieval India? Isami and Isami and Barani. These two historians, they help us reconstruct the Delhi Sultanate period. They help us reconstruct the Delhi Sultanate period. Isami and Barani. Okay, Isami and Barani. In fact, Isami and Barani are the same historians. Mainly, Isami and Barani are helpful. Okay, mainly Isami and Barani are helpful. They give us a lot of information about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Okay, they give us a lot of information about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Both Isami and Barani, both these historians they tell us, they go on to tell us that Muhammad bin Tughlaq was very, very unpredictable. Okay, Muhammad bin Tughlaq was very, very unpredictable. Why was he unpredictable? Because he would take decisions just like that. Okay, he would take quick decisions, and he would take decisions without without thinking about him too much. Okay, he would take decisions in a jiffy. So because of this, he came across as a very unpredictable person, and his unpredictability even got manifested. And his unpredictability, it got reflected in in a couple of decisions he took, which turned out to be some of the biggest mistakes he made. Okay, that he was unpredictable, it also got reflected in a couple of decisions which he took, which later on turned out to be some of his biggest mistakes. Okay, be it changing of capital, or be it his idea of starting, his idea of starting something called token currency, or be it augmenting the taxes, be it raising the taxes, or be it charging higher taxes at a time when the Doab region was affected by famine, or be it his Karachi expedition. So all these expeditions, or all these attempts are considered to be his mistakes, something which he could have avoided. And what is the importance of these mistakes? Because these mistakes are important, because all these mistakes which he committed, they went on to affect his prestige. That went on to affect his prestige, and people started losing faith in his administration, in his rule. People started losing faith in Muhammad bin Tughlaq. As a result of that, you know, it is said that as a result of that, the Delhi Sultanate started declining. As a result of that, it is said that the Delhi Sultanate started declining from around the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. See, two things happened during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. It was only during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq that Delhi saw the maximum expansion. I mean, Delhi Sultanate saw the maximum expansion, and the irony is, it was during his period itself, it was during his rule itself, that Delhi Sultanate started declining. And why did it start declining? These reasons, okay, these four mistakes which he committed, okay, these four mistakes which he committed had a great role in it. They had a great role in it. Okay, so the historian Barani, he refused to consider the state in India under Delhi Sultan as truly Islamic because the majority of the population did not follow Islam. The Muslim theologies were often disregarded. The Sultan supplemented the Muslim law by framing his own regulations. Religious freedom was accorded to non Muslims. Now, the reason why Barani considered the state in India under Delhi Sultans as truly Islamic, he refused to consider the state in India under Delhi Sultans as truly Islamic. It was because the Sultan supplemented. Okay, the Sultan supplemented the Muslim law by framing his own regulations. The Sultan supplemented the Muslim law by framing his own regulations. And this stands true almost for all the sultans. Okay, question number A. Now, see, question number 4. This was asked in 2006, again in the form of assertion and reason. Muhammad bin Tughlaq issued a new gold coin which was called dinar by Ibn Battuta. Okay, I mean Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta is a very famous character. This Ibn Battuta is a very famous character. This Ibn Battuta, he, of all the foreign travelers, or you can say he was one of the most important foreign travelers to visit India. Okay, throughout India's history, we come across many foreign travelers who come to India. For example, Hiwan Sung was a foreign traveler, Fahiyan was a foreign traveler. So Ibn Battuta's account is considered to be more legitimate and also more comprehensive. And Ibn Battuta was a foreign traveler who had visited India or who paid a visit, okay, who paid a visit to the court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And what Isami and Barani say about Muhammad bin Tughlaq's unpredictability, that thing gets confirmed. Okay, that thing gets confirmed by by Ibn Battuta's account. Ibn Battuta's account is called Rihla, Rihla, and in Rihla, Ibn Battuta he confirms the fact that Muhammad bin Tughlaq was indeed unpredictable. Okay, he was a very moody kind of a person, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And Ibn Battuta, by the way, he did not just come to India, but he traveled. He was a world traveler, and he was from Tangiers. He was from Tangiers, which is a place in Algeria. He came all the way from Tangiers to India. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq issued a new gold coin, which was called dinar by Ibn Battuta. Okay, which is which is a correct statement, by the way. And the reason is what? Muhammad bin Tughlaq wanted to issue token currency in gold coins. Muhammad bin Tughlaq wanted to issue token currency in gold coins to promote trade with West Asian and North African countries. See, I mean this cannot be a right statement because although Muhammad bin Tughlaq, like I said, he introduced something called token currency, but the reason why he wanted to introduce token currency was to replace gold with something else. I mean, see, if you guys know the meaning of token currency, that's the rationale behind using token currency. Token currency means what? When the intrinsic value of money is lesser than the face value of money. What is the face value of money? Face value of money is the money which is written on a coin, or for example, a note, which is written on a coin or a currency note. And what is the intrinsic value of money? Intrinsic value of money is the amount of money that goes into making that particular currency or that particular coin. And token currency refers to that type of currency in which the intrinsic value, the intrinsic value, the intrinsic value is lesser than the face value. For example, a 100 rupee note. Okay, a 100 rupee note. Okay, in the case of a 100 rupee note, the intrinsic value which be lesser. In the case of a 100 rupee note, the intrinsic value would be lesser than 100 rupee. So in this case, 100 becomes the face value, but the intrinsic value is much lesser. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq was trying to do something like this. So naturally, when he was trying to do something like this, he could not have issued token currency in gold coins. He must have issued what? That is common sense. He must have issued token currency in a metal which was not as valuable as gold, but it would carry the, I mean, it was not as valuable as gold, which was essentially not as valuable as gold, but in terms of value, okay, in terms of value, I mean, token currency means what? When you are, in simple words, token currency means that you are making something less valuable more valuable. So because he was trying to do something like this, he was trying to make a less valuable metal, okay, he was trying to make a less valuable metal more valuable. So he could not have issued gold coins. Like I said, so the answer has to be what? Assertion A is correct. Assertion A is correct, but R is wrong. So the answer will be what? A is true, but R is false. So option number C is the right answer in this case. Then, the king was freed from his people and they from their king. On whose death did Badauni comment this? This is very important. This is very important, and this is related to something which I have already shared with you guys. And this is what? This is, see, the king was freed from his people and they from their king. On whose death did Badauni, was another historian, by the way, comment, uh, you know, this. Now, the answer in this case would be Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, because of those four mistakes which were committed by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he came across as a very unpopular leader. Especially one of his mistakes, or let's say two of his mistakes. Okay, two of his mistakes directly affected the people of his kingdom. One was his decision to shift his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, because that particular when he shifted his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, along with the king also came a lot of people. Along with the king also came a lot of people, and many are said to have also died, because it's not a very short distance. The distance from Delhi to Daulatabad, and by the way, Daulatabad is located in Maharashtra. So that particular distance is not a short distance, due to which many people died. And the thing which made it even more worse is that after staying in Delhi, after staying at Daulatabad for some time, Muhammad bin Tughlaq realized that it was not very easy for him to manage the affairs of Delhi from Daulatabad. And after he had this realization, he again decides to shift his capital back to Delhi. ठीक है? So, as you can realize, people must have got frustrated with him. And another mistake which directly affected the people was his decision to cause a hike in taxes. Okay, was his decision to cause a hike in taxes in the Ganga Yamuna Doab region. That piece of land, Doab means the piece of land which lies between two rivers, Ganga Yamuna. I mean, in this case, I'm talking about the Ganga Yamuna Doab. So he took a decision to hike the taxes. Okay, to hike the taxes in that particular region. The decision was okay, but the decision came at a time when that particular region was affected by famine, by severe famine. So already it was a famine-like situation. Already they were under the pressure of famine. Already they were under the trouble of famine. So when Sultan announced that they will have to give more money, you can well imagine the plight of those people. So the point I'm trying to make here is a point had come when Muhammad bin Tughlaq himself was very annoyed. Okay, he himself got fed up of his mistakes. So many mistakes were committed by such a great king. So he himself got fed up of himself, and the people were also frustrated with him. The people were also displeased, or you can say the people were also angry with him. So when Muhammad bin Tughlaq finally died, okay, when Muhammad bin Tughlaq finally died, it was like the king was freed from his people and they from their king. So both of them wanted to, both of them wanted to become independent of each other. Both of them wanted to get rid of each other. Muhammad bin Tughlaq also wanted to get rid of his mistakes. Okay, he also wanted to get rid of, he also wanted to get rid of the ignominy. He also wanted to get rid of the ignominy which was associated with his mistakes. And the people also wanted to get rid of the Sultan, of such a Sultan who was going on making so many mistakes, who was on, who was on a mistake making spree. So the king was freed from his people and they from their king. Both the sides were frustrated. Okay, both the sides were frustrated. And on this note, I'm ending my today's class. Thank you so much.